My name is Marcus Thompson, and I need to tell you this story before it's too late, before they find me again. I am writing this from a motel room somewhere in Montana, and I know they are already looking for me. It all started 14 months ago when I moved to Seattle. I was 24 years old, fresh out of MIT with a computer science degree. I had just landed my dream job at a tech startup called NeuralSync, developing AI algorithms for smart home systems. The irony of that is not lost on me now. Finding an apartment in downtown Seattle was supposed to be impossible on my salary, but then I saw the listing for the Grandview building. A 7th-floor studio for just $1,200 a month, when everything else in the area was going for twice that amount. The landlord, Mr. Chen, was eager to rent it out. "The building has character," he said during the tour, his keys jangling as we walked down the narrow hallway. The carpet was worn but clean, and the walls had that particular shade of beige that suggested decades of repainting. Built in 1923, used to be a hotel during Prohibition. Al Capone supposedly stayed here once, though that is probably just marketing nonsense. The apartment itself was small but perfect for what I needed. Original hardwood floors that creaked in specific spots I would later memorize. A kitchen alcove with just enough space for one person to cook. A bathroom with a clawfoot tub and a medicine cabinet that looked original to the building. The main room served as bedroom, living room, and office all in one. But what sold me was the light. Tall windows facing east that would flood the space with morning sun. I moved in on October 3rd, a Thursday. I remember because I took the day off work to get everything settled. By Saturday, I noticed the first anomaly. I am particular about my routines. My therapist once suggested I might have mild OCD, but I prefer to think of myself as consistently organized. Every morning, I make coffee in the same blue ceramic mug my sister gave me for graduation. After washing it, I always place it on the left side of the dish rack, with the handle facing right at exactly a 45-degree angle. That Saturday morning, the mug was on the right side of the rack, handle facing left. I stood there for a full minute, staring at it. I knew how I had left it. I specifically remembered adjusting it twice the night before to get the angle right. My brain ran through possibilities. Maybe I was more tired than I thought. Maybe I had been distracted. But deep down, I knew. Someone had moved my mug. The rational part of my mind said I was being paranoid. Who would break into an apartment just to move a coffee mug? But over the next few days, more things happened. Small things, subtle things, things designed to make me question my own memory. My laptop, which I always closed completely and centered on my desk before bed, would be open half an inch in the morning. My shoes, which I lined up precisely parallel to the wall by the door, would be slightly askew. The TV remote, which I always placed on the right arm of my second-hand couch, would be on the left arm or the coffee table. Then there was my journal. I have kept one since high school, writing every night before bed. I have a specific routine. Write the entry, close the journal, place it in the top drawer of my nightstand aligned with the front right corner. On Tuesday morning, October 8th, the journal was still in the drawer but shifted 2 inches to the left. When I opened it, I found the pages slightly fanned, as if someone had been flipping through them. That is when I decided to test my theory. I started documenting everything, the exact position of every object in my apartment, photos on my phone showing how I had left things. I even bought a small ruler and started measuring distances. October 10th, a Thursday, coffee mug moved again, this time turned 180 degrees from how I had left it. Distance from the edge of the counter was 3 inches when I left it, found at 4.5 inches. October 11th, Friday, my toothbrush, which I always placed in the holder with bristles facing the mirror, was facing the wall. The soap in the shower had been used. I could tell because I had carefully noted the position of the logo pressed into the bar. October 12th, Saturday. This time they got bold. A book I had been reading, which I had left on page 147 with a bookmark, was on page 148. The bookmark was still in place, but someone had turned that single page. I was not going crazy. Someone was entering my apartment. On October 14th, I implemented a test I had read about in a spy novel. Before leaving for work, I placed a single strand of my own hair across the gap between the door and the frame, secured with tiny pieces of clear tape at exactly shoulder height. If someone opened the door, the hair would fall. I thought about it all day at work. My colleague Janet asked if I was feeling okay. "You seem distracted," she said. I brushed her off, claimed I was just focused on debugging code. But all I could think about was that hair, that tiny trap that would prove I was not paranoid. When I got home at 6:15 in the evening, the hair was gone. My hands shook as I unlocked the door. I had half expected to find my apartment ransacked, but everything looked normal. Laptop centered on the desk, shoes aligned, coffee mug in its proper place. But on my pillow, positioned with surgical precision in the exact center, was a yellow sticky note. The note read, "You are very observant, Marcus." I like that. I called 911 immediately. My voice was steady, but I could feel my heart hammering against my ribs. The dispatcher was professional, said someone would be there soon. I waited outside my apartment, not wanting to contaminate what I considered a crime scene. Officer Carla Martinez arrived 20 minutes later. She was in her 40s, with the kind of tired eyes that suggested she had seen too much of Seattle's darker side. But she listened carefully as I explained everything, taking notes in a small pad. "No signs of forced entry?" she asked, after examining my door. "No, that is what is so unsettling. The locks were not picked, the door was not damaged. It is like they have a key." She bagged the sticky note as evidence. Could be a previous tenant. Landlords do not always change locks, even when they are supposed to. Any other issues with the building? Problems with neighbors? I shook my head. I had barely seen my neighbors, just heard them occasionally through the walls. What should I do? Change your locks immediately. That is your right as a tenant. Get a deadbolt, something high quality. Maybe install a security camera. We will increase patrols in the area, but without more evidence. She shrugged apologetically. Keep documenting everything. If it happens again, call us immediately. I thanked her and spent the rest of the evening researching locks online. By the next morning, I had scheduled a locksmith. The locksmith, a man named Pavel with a thick Russian accent, installed a Medico deadbolt that he assured me was unpickable by anyone except maybe government. He charged me $300, but I would have paid triple for peace of mind. I also ordered a Ring doorbell camera and an indoor Wise cam, paying for expedited shipping. While waiting for the cameras to arrive, I stayed hypervigilant. Nothing was moved on October 15th or 16th. I started to relax slightly, thinking maybe the new lock had solved the problem. The cameras arrived on October 17th. I spent hours setting them up, adjusting angles, testing motion detection, making sure there were no blind spots. The Ring covered the hallway outside my door. The Wise covered the interior of my studio. I downloaded the apps, set up notifications, tested everything multiple times. For 3 days, nothing happened. No movements, no intrusions, no creepy notes. I started sleeping better, thinking maybe Officer Martinez had been right. Maybe it really had been a previous tenant with an old key, and the new locks had solved everything. Then, at 2:47 in the morning, on October 21st, my phone exploded with notifications. Motion detected at your front door. I was instantly awake, adrenaline flooding my system. I grabbed my phone and opened the Ring app with trembling fingers. The hallway was empty. The motion had triggered 30 seconds ago, according to the timestamp, but there was no one there. I scrubbed back through the footage. Nothing. The hallway remained empty, dimly lit by the building's aging fluorescent lights. Then I heard it, soft humming coming from inside my apartment. The tune was unmistakable. Brahms Lullaby. Gentle, melodic, the kind of thing a parent might hum to soothe a child. But in the darkness of my studio, with me supposedly alone, it was the most terrifying sound I had ever heard. The humming seemed to be coming from near the bathroom, maybe 6 feet from where I lay rigid in my bed. I could not move, could not breathe. Every muscle in my body had locked up in primal fear. The humming continued for exactly 3 minutes. I know because I watched the clock on my phone, using the changing numbers as an anchor to reality. Then it stopped, Silence fell like a heavy blanket. I lay there for hours, ears straining for any sound, any movement, nothing. Eventually, exhaustion overtook fear, and I fell into a fitful sleep. I woke at 7 in the morning to sunlight streaming through my windows. For a moment, I thought I had dreamed the whole thing. Then I checked the Wise cam footage from the night. The camera showed my apartment, dimly lit by the streetlight outside. At 2:47, exactly when the ring had detected motion, the footage glitched, static for 3 seconds. When it cleared, everything looked the same, except there was a shadow that had not been there before. I rewound and watched again, and again. On the 4th viewing, I saw it clearly, a shadow that was not there before the glitch. It was subtle, barely noticeable, but there was definitely a new shadow by the bathroom door. I kept watching. At 2:48, the shadow moved. Slowly, carefully, it crept across my apartment toward my bed. The humming must have started then, though the camera did not capture audio. For 3 minutes, the shadow stood next to my bed. I could see myself in the footage, lying rigid under the covers, phone clutched in my hand. Then, at 2:51, the shadow moved back toward the bathroom and disappeared. I threw up in the kitchen sink. Then I noticed my laptop was open on my desk. I knew I had closed it the night before. I had photo evidence on my phone. On the screen was a video file I did not recognize. The video showed me sleeping, but not from the angle of my Wise cam. This was taken from directly above my bed, looking straight down. The timestamp showed 3 in the morning, just minutes after the shadow had retreated. As I watched in horror, a gloved hand entered the frame and gently brushed a strand of hair from my forehead. Below the video player was an open text document. One line: "You sleep so peacefully when you are terrified. Sweet dreams, Marcus." From hplace.com, I packed a bag and left immediately. Checked into a Holiday Inn downtown, requested a room on the highest floor. From there, I called the police again. This time, they sent Detective Ray Chen. He was younger than Officer Martinez, maybe early 30s, with an intensity that suggested he took his job seriously. He met me at the hotel and reviewed everything I had documented. "This is sophisticated," he said, studying the video on my laptop. "Whoever this is has technical skills. They knew how to cause that glitch in your camera, knew how to avoid being fully captured. Have you made any enemies? Anyone who might want to mess with you?" I could not think of anyone. I was a quiet person, few friends, no romantic entanglements, no conflicts at work. I just moved here 2 weeks ago. I do not even know anyone except my coworkers. "What about the apartment? Why did you choose that specific building?" "It was cheap, good location. The landlord seemed eager to rent." Detective Chen made a note. "I want to bring in a forensics team. See if we can pull any evidence from your apartment. In the meantime, stay here. Do not go back alone." The forensics team found nothing. No fingerprints except mine. No DNA evidence. No digital footprints on my laptop. Whoever had created that video file had done so without leaving any trace. The cameras showed no one entering or leaving my apartment. "It is like a ghost," one of the technicians muttered. But I knew it was not a ghost. Ghosts do not leave sticky notes. Ghosts do not know how to manipulate security cameras. This was a person, a very real person, who somehow had access to my apartment despite my new locks and security system. That night in the hotel, I could not stop thinking, how were they getting in? The door was the only entrance. I was on the 7th floor, so they were not coming through the windows. The walls were solid. I had tapped on them enough times to know. Unless... I remembered something Mr. Chen had said during the tour. Something about the building's history. Used to be a hotel during Prohibition. Old hotels from that era sometimes had hidden features. Servant passages. Secret doors for bootleggers. The next morning, I called Detective Chen. "I need to check something in my apartment. Can you meet me there?" He agreed, and we met at the Grandview building at 10 in the morning. My apartment looked undisturbed, but I was not looking for disturbances anymore. I was looking for architecture that did not make sense. I started in the closet, running my hands along the walls, tapping and listening. Detective Chen watched with a mixture of skepticism and curiosity. What exactly are you looking for? Hidden passages. Old buildings sometimes have them. You think someone is living in your walls? He sounded doubtful, but did not stop me. I moved methodically through the apartment. Bedroom walls, solid. Bathroom walls, solid. Kitchen area, solid. I was starting to feel foolish when I reached the back of the closet again. This time, I noticed something I had missed before. The back panel did not quite match the side panels. The wood grain was different, the color slightly off. I pressed on it. It gave slightly. "Detective," I said quietly, "I think I found something." Together, we pried at the panel. It resisted at first, then suddenly swung inward on hidden hinges. Behind it was a narrow passage, barely 2 feet wide, extending into darkness in both directions. "Jesus Christ," Detective Chen whispered. He immediately called for backup, then shone his flashlight into the passage. Dust motes danced in the beam, but there were clear signs of recent use. Scuff marks on the floor, handprints on the walls, and what looked like electrical cables running along the ceiling. While waiting for backup, I noticed something that made my blood run cold. On the inside of the panel, carved into the wood, were words. Dozens of them, in different handwriting styles, some looking decades old. "Welcome to the Between. The walls have eyes. We live where you cannot. Home is where the watching is." And newest of all, carved so recently that wood shavings still clung to the grooves. Marcus Thompson, Apartment 712, claimed by HC, do not disturb. Backup arrived within minutes. 6 officers and a full forensics team. Detective Chen briefed them quickly. Then they entered the passages with flashlights and cameras. I waited in the hallway with a uniformed officer, listening to the radio chatter. "Jesus, this goes everywhere. Connects the whole building. There is furniture in here. Monitors. Captain, you need to see this." 3 hours later, Detective Chen emerged, looking pale. "We need to evacuate the building. Now." What they had found defied belief. The passages were not just maintenance corridors or old servant ways. They were a complete hidden infrastructure within the building's walls. Living spaces had been carved out between apartments. Makeshift bedrooms with mattresses and blankets. A kitchen area with a hot plate and mini fridge, somehow wired into the building's electrical system. Even a bathroom that had been illegally connected to the building's plumbing. But the worst discovery was what Detective Chen called the observation room. Every apartment in the building had been compromised. Tiny cameras hidden in ventilation grates, pinholes drilled through walls at strategic points, two-way mirrors installed in medicine cabinets and closets. The observation room contained dozens of monitors showing feeds from all these cameras. Some apartments had as many as 12 different angles covered. And covering every other surface in the room were photographs, thousands upon thousands of them, organized with obsessive precision. The photos were sorted by apartment number and date. Section 712, my apartment, was the newest addition, but it was already extensive. There were photos of me sleeping, cooking, working on my laptop, showering, getting dressed. Every private moment from the past 2 weeks had been captured. But more disturbing were the photos from before I moved in. Pictures of me touring the apartment with Mr. Chen, me at the coffee shop across the street the day I signed the lease, me carrying boxes on moving day. Someone had been watching me before I even knew the Grandview building existed. Other sections went back years. Apartment 5A, a young couple, documented through their entire relationship. First date preparations, intimate moments, arguments, reconciliation. The woman crying alone after what looked like a miscarriage. The man secretly packing a suitcase before apparently changing his mind. Apartment 6F, an elderly man named George Whitman, according to the labels, shown in declining health over 3 years. Photos of him taking medication, struggling with a walker, falling in his bathroom. One particularly disturbing series showed him lying on the floor for hours before managing to reach his phone. Apartment 4B, a woman who did yoga every morning, captured from multiple angles. Her routines, documented with clinical precision, notes about flexibility improvements, and form corrections attached to some photos. Every tenant, past and present, had been cataloged like specimens in some demented research project. The level of detail was staggering. Eating habits, sleep patterns, sexual activities, bathroom routines, phone conversations captured through lip reading, arguments, moments of joy and sadness, all preserved in this hidden archive. In the center of the observation room was a desk with multiple journals. Detective Chen would not let me read them in detail, but he shared the basics. They were observation logs, written in neat, precise handwriting. Each entry was dated and included behavioral notes about specific tenants. October 8th, subject M. Thompson from apartment 712 noticed journal displacement, showed signs of anxiety. Increased heart rate visible in neck pulse, spent 3.7 minutes staring at journal before opening. High awareness level, promising candidate for advanced interaction. October 12th, subject M. Thompson discovered book page alteration. Photographed book before leaving apartment. Very clever. Must increase subtlety or escalate to phase 2. October 14th, hair trap deployed by Thompson. Classic technique, properly executed. Subject exceeds expectations for environmental awareness. Approved for direct contact. The journals went back 15 years and were all signed the same way. HC, maintenance supervisor and architectural historian and behavioral researcher. Harold Crane, the building's maintenance man. They found Harold trying to leave the city 12 hours later. He was driving a van registered to the building's management company, packed with computer equipment and boxes of photographs. He did not resist arrest, did not even seem surprised. I watched through one-way glass as Detective Chen interviewed him at the station. Harold was unremarkable looking. Mid-50s, graying hair, medium build, the kind of face you would forget immediately. He wore his maintenance uniform and sat with perfect posture, hands folded on the table. "How long have you been living in the walls, Harold?" Detective Chen began. "Living?" Harold smiled slightly. "I do not live in the walls, Detective. I live in the building. The walls are just my hallways. I have been the true resident of the Grandview for 15 years. Everyone else is just passing through. You have been spying on people, violating their privacy, taking photographs of them in their most intimate moments. I have been documenting human behavior," Harold corrected calmly. "Do you know how people act when they think they are alone? It is fascinating. The masks come off. The real person emerges. I am a researcher, Detective, an anthropologist of private spaces. You are a voyeur, a stalker. You terrorized Marcus Thompson." Harold's expression shifted to something like fondness. "Marcus is special. Do you know how rare it is to find someone so naturally observant? Most people live their entire lives without noticing the small changes around them. They are sleepwalking through existence. But Marcus, he saw everything, every tiny alteration. His awareness is extraordinary." "So you decided to torment him?" "Torment?" Harold looked genuinely puzzled. "I was communicating, establishing contact with a kindred spirit, someone who understands that the details matter, that small changes in our environment reflect larger truths about our reality." Detective Chen leaned forward. "How many others are there, Harold? Who else knows about the passages?" For the first time, Harold's composure cracked slightly. He glanced at the mirror, directly at where I was standing, though he could not see through it. "The Grandview is not unique, Detective. Every old building has its secrets. Every city has its hidden spaces. We find each other, we share knowledge, we preserve the true history of human behavior." "Names, give me names." Harold laughed, a dry sound like rustling paper. "You think this is about names? This is about understanding, about preservation. Do you know what percentage of tenants talk to themselves when alone? 73%. Do you know how many have cried in their apartments in the past year? 91%. 45% have hidden addictions. 23% have contemplated suicide. I have called emergency services anonymously 3 times to save lives. Is that the work of a criminal, Detective, or a guardian? You are sick." "I am necessary," Harold replied. "Someone needs to witness. Someone needs to record the truth of human existence. Not the performances we put on for each other, but the reality of who we are when we think no one is watching." The interview continued for hours. Harold eventually admitted to everything: the passages, the cameras, the photographs. He pleaded guilty to multiple charges of stalking, voyeurism, breaking and entering, and criminal harassment. The judge, clearly disturbed by the case, sentenced him to the maximum of 15 years. The Grandview building was condemned. All tenants were relocated and compensated by the horrified management company. The passages were supposed to be sealed, the cameras removed, the photographs destroyed under court supervision. The case was closed. But I knew it was not over. I moved across the city to a modern building with no space for passages. Glass and steel construction, open floor plans, nowhere to hide. I installed my own security system: cameras, motion sensors, door and window alarms. I thought I was safe. For 2 months, everything was normal. I started therapy to deal with the trauma. Dr. Miranda Choi specialized in privacy violation cases and helped me process what had happened. Slowly, I began to relax, to trust my environment again. Then I found the first note. It was in my locked car, placed on the driver's seat. "Harold sends his regards. The weight loss suits you. You are looking healthier. From J.R." I had lost 11 pounds since the Grandview incident. "Stress," Dr. Choi said. But someone had noticed. Someone was still watching. I went to the police immediately. But what could they do? It was just a note. No cameras had captured anyone near my car. The parking garage security footage showed nothing unusual. Detective Chen was sympathetic but had no leads. The notes continued, always in impossible places. Inside my locked mailbox, Dr. Choi is excellent. She helped subject 892 as well. From WP, under my pillow when I knew it was not there the night before. "Your new passwords are stronger, but birthdays are still predictable." From KL, taped to the inside of my medicine cabinet. "Harold appreciates the books. Family takes care of family." From DS, I had never sent Harold books. When I checked with the prison, someone had indeed put money in his commissary account under my name. The trail led to a prepaid card purchased with cash, untraceable. The photos started a month later. Not crude shots like Harold's early work. These were artistic, professional. Me entering my therapist's office, captured at the exact moment the door opened. Me at the grocery store, photographed the split second I looked up from reading a label. Me at a coffee shop, caught in the precise moment I glanced toward the window. Each photo came with a note on the back. "You are healing beautifully." From TM, "Your hypervigilance is improving. You spotted the blue sedan." From RJ, "Harold chose well. You exceed all parameters." From CD, different handwriting every time, different initials, but always the same uncanny timing, the same impossible access to my life. I tried everything. Changed jobs, changed cities, changed my name legally to Michael Anders, cut off contact with everyone from my old life, paid cash for everything, stayed off social media, used only burner phones. For 6 weeks, nothing. I started to hope I had escaped. Then I found a package on my doorstep. No delivery notice, no postmark, no return address. Inside was a leather-bound journal, similar to Harold's observation logs. The first page had a note. "Distance is irrelevant. Walls are everywhere. Welcome to your new chapter from the architects of the between." The rest of the journal was blank, except for the last page, where someone had pasted a photo of Harold in his prison cell. He was holding a piece of paper with a message. "They are taking excellent care of you. 15 years is not forever. Harold Crane." I burned the journal and moved again, and again, and again. That was 8 months ago. Since then, I have lived in 17 different places across 12 states. Motels, hostels, cash-only rentals, even a few nights in my car. Never staying more than 2 weeks anywhere. Sometimes they find me in days, sometimes it takes longer, but they always find me. The game has evolved. They do not enter my spaces anymore. They learned from Harold's arrest. Now they demonstrate presence through proximity. A photo slipped under my door, showing me from an angle I cannot identify. A note in my car describing what I ate for breakfast. A voicemail from an unknown number, just breathing, and then Harold sends his love. Last month, I tried reaching out to other victims from the Grandview. Through a lawyer, I found 5 willing to meet. We gathered in a public park, thinking open spaces would be safe. Sandra from apartment 4B told us she had been finding yoga poses sketched in steam on her bathroom mirror. George from apartment 6F received medical reports about his condition from doctors he had never seen. The couple from apartment 5A had separated. Both were receiving photos of their ex from inside their new homes. We compared notes, looking for patterns. Different handwriting, but similar photography techniques. Similar psychological tactics. Always demonstrating surveillance without technically breaking laws. We should go public, Sandra suggested. Media attention might help. George shook his head. I tried. Reporter thought I was paranoid, without proof. We have proof. The notes, the photos. Could be from anyone. That is their brilliance. As we talked, a jogger passed and dropped something. A manila envelope. Inside were 5 photos of us at the park, taken simultaneously from different angles. On the back of the group photo, family reunion. Harold Crane sends his love. That night, I received a video file on my burner phone. Impossible, since I had never given the number to anyone. The video showed Harold in his cell, speaking directly to the camera. Marcus, my friends are taking wonderful care of you, better than I ever could from here. You should be honored. You are part of a longitudinal study now. Generational research. Your children will be watched. Your grandchildren. Is that not magnificent? The video glitched, and for one frame, I saw something else. A room full of monitors showing hundreds of faces. Sandra on one screen, George on another. Countless others I did not recognize. All being watched. All subjects in some vast study. 3 months ago, I made a discovery that changed everything. In newspaper archives, I found an article from 1927. A maintenance worker at the Grandview, then the Grandview Hotel, had been arrested for peculiar voyeuristic activities. His name was Harrison Crane, Harold's grandfather. I dug deeper. Harrison's journal had been admitted as evidence. In it, he described a network of urban explorers who lived in the hidden spaces of buildings. They called themselves the Architects of the Between. Their mission was to document authentic human behavior, to create an archive of private truth. The journal included names, building blueprints, techniques. The prosecutor had dismissed it as madness, but I recognized the buildings. Many still stood. How many had hidden passages? How many had watchers in the walls? Last week, I received the most comprehensive package yet, a complete record of my life since leaving the Grandview. Every place I had stayed, every alias, every person I had spoken to. Photos, transcripts, medical records, even my therapy notes. The final page was a letter from Harold. Dear Marcus, by now you understand the truth. The between is not a place, but a perspective. We exist in the spaces you cannot see, the moments you do not notice. We are the unblinking eye of history, recording humanity without its masks. You have been selected for conscious participation. Most subjects live unaware, but you see us as we see you. Your fear, your vigilance, your beautiful paranoia, all of this is data. How does awareness of observation change behavior? You are helping us answer eternal questions. In 7 years, I will be eligible for parole. When I return, I hope to show you our archives. Centuries of documentation. The true history of human solitude. You will understand then that we are not criminals but historians, not stalkers but anthropologists of the intimate. Until then, my colleagues ensure you are never alone. The infrastructure of observation is complete. Every building has its spaces. Every wall has its eyes. Every life has its witness. Sleep well, Marcus. You have decades ahead as our primary conscious subject. With admiration, Harold Crane, Architect of the Between, 3rd generation. Subject 48726, lifetime study. I keep that letter as proof that I am not insane. Every day, I see them, feel them. The woman at the coffee shop who knows my order before I speak. The man on the bus angling his phone toward me. The janitor who smiles like we share a secret. Are they part of the between? Or am I seeing patterns that are not there? That is the genius of it. Once you know you are being watched, everyone becomes a potential watcher. The paranoia becomes the punishment. The fear becomes the data. I have started noticing things that make me question the scale of their operation. Construction workers who seem more interested in watching passers-by than their work. Security guards whose eyes follow specific people rather than scanning for general threats. Delivery drivers who linger too long after dropping off packages. Last week, I experimented. I walked a random pattern through the city, doubling back, taking sudden turns, entering and exiting buildings through different doors. Within an hour, I had identified 3 people following the same chaotic route. When I confronted one, a middle-aged woman with a shopping bag, she smiled and said, "Harold says you are getting better at this." Then she disappeared into a crowd before I could respond. The technology has evolved too. I found a device in my latest motel room, hidden inside what looked like a standard smoke detector. When I took it apart, it contained components I did not recognize. Not just a camera, but something more sophisticated. I mailed it to a friend who works in tech security. He called me 2 days later, voice shaking. He said the device was broadcasting on frequencies he had never seen, using encryption that should not exist outside military applications. He refused to investigate further and told me to lose his number. I have tried to find patterns in their methods, to understand their structure. The handwriting analysis I commissioned revealed something disturbing. While the notes appear to be from different people, certain characteristics repeat. Specific letter formations, consistent spacing patterns, subtle similarities that suggest extensive training. They are taught how to write, how to watch, how to remain invisible. There are rules they follow. I have noticed this through careful observation. They never physically harm their subjects. They never steal anything of monetary value. They never interfere with major life events. They only observe, document, and occasionally remind you that they are there. It is as if they have a code of conduct, an ethical framework for their invasion of privacy. I found evidence of their historical presence everywhere once I knew how to look. Library archives contain reports of unexplained intrusions dating back decades. Police files filled with complaints about mysterious notes and impossible surveillance. Building inspection records that mention unexplained spaces and passages. The patterns are consistent across cities, across decades. The between has been operating for longer than anyone realizes. Last month, I discovered something that terrified me more than anything else. I was researching property records, trying to find buildings that might have passages, when I noticed a pattern. Many old buildings in major cities are owned by a network of shell companies. The ownership trails are labyrinthine, designed to obscure, but they all eventually lead back to a trust established in 1893, the Architectural Heritage Preservation Society. I looked deeper. The society ostensibly exists to maintain historical buildings. They receive grants, tax breaks, donations from wealthy benefactors interested in preservation, but their real purpose seems to be maintaining the infrastructure of the between, keeping the passages open, the observation posts functional, the network operational. They are not just in old buildings anymore. I found construction permits where the society was listed as a consultant. New buildings designed from the ground up with hidden spaces. Modern apartments with gaps between walls just wide enough for a person. Office buildings with maintenance corridors that do not appear on official blueprints. The between is not just preserving old infrastructure. They are building new. 2 weeks ago, I had my most disturbing encounter yet. I was eating at a diner in Nebraska, trying to blend in with the truckers and travelers. A man sat down across from me uninvited. He was unremarkable, forgettable, the kind of person you would not notice in a crowd. He smiled and placed a tablet on the table. "Mr. Thompson," he said, "or do you prefer Anders now?" I represent certain interested parties who have been following your case. We are impressed by your observational skills and your dedication to documentation. We would like to make you an offer." The tablet showed a video feed. My sister's apartment in Boston. She was cooking dinner, unaware of the camera. The image was crystal clear, multiple angles available at the swipe of a finger. "We can make this stop," the man continued. "Complete cessation of observation. You and your family removed from all monitoring lists. Full privacy restored. All you have to do is join us. Your skills, your awareness, your understanding of what we do, you would be a valuable addition to our research team." I stared at the screen, watching my sister add salt to her pasta sauce. A private moment, invaded, turned into leverage. "You are threatening my family," I said. "Threatening?" The man seemed genuinely surprised. "We are observing. We observe everyone. Your sister has been subject 32479 for 8 years. Lovely woman. The yoga helps with her anxiety. The CBD oil she hides from her boyfriend is perfectly safe, by the way. We have extensive data on that particular brand." I wanted to reach across the table and strangle him, but I knew there would be others watching. There always were. "Leave her alone," I said. "That is not how this works, Marcus. Everyone is observed, but not everyone knows they are observed. That is what makes you special. You see us. You understand the importance of what we do. Imagine having access to our archives, centuries of human behavior, documented and preserved, the real history of our species, not the performance but the truth." "Why?" I asked. "Why do this at all?" He leaned back, considering. "Do you know what percentage of human life is truly private? Before modern technology? Before cameras and phones and smart homes? Nearly 90%. People lived entire lives unobserved, undocumented. Billions of human experiences lost to time. We are historians, Marcus. We are saving humanity from its own forgetfulness. You are violating people, stealing their privacy." "Privacy is an illusion," he replied. "A modern construct. For most of human history, we lived in small groups where everyone knew everything about everyone. True privacy has existed for perhaps 200 years, a blip in our species' timeline. We are simply returning to a more natural state of communal knowledge." "Communal knowledge? You hide in walls. You spy through hidden cameras. There is nothing communal about what you do." He smiled, patient like a teacher with a slow student. "The methods are necessarily covert. People behave differently when they know they are being watched. The observer effect ruins the data. But the knowledge we gather, the understanding we develop, that serves everyone. How do you think we know to call emergency services before suicide attempts? How do you think we identified domestic abuse before it escalates? We have prevented 14 murders in the last year alone. By violating thousands of people? By understanding them, by seeing patterns they cannot see themselves, by being the unblinking eye that watches over humanity." He tapped the tablet, and the feed switched. Now it showed me, sitting in the diner, filmed from multiple angles. One camera was in the light fixture above us. Another seemed to be embedded in the wall behind him. A third was somehow capturing us from the side, though I could not spot its location. "You have been running for 14 months, he continued. 17 cities, 43 different aliases, 112 temporary residences. You have spent approximately $68,000, depleted your savings, alienated your friends and family. And for what? We still see you. We will always see you. So what do you want from me? Join us. Become an architect of the between. Your observational skills are exceptional. Your documentation methods are precise. You understand the importance of detail. We could use someone like you to spy on innocent people, to preserve human truth, to build an archive of authentic behavior, to ensure that future generations understand how we really lived, not just the stories we tell about ourselves." I stared at him, this ordinary-looking man offering me a place in their voyeuristic cult, and for a moment, just a moment, I was tempted. not because I believed in their mission, but because I was tired. Tired of running, tired of looking over my shoulder, tired of being the watched instead of the watcher. "No," I said finally. He sighed, seeming genuinely disappointed. "That is unfortunate. Harold spoke highly of you. He thought you would understand eventually." He stood up, leaving the tablet on the table. "The offer remains open. When you tire of running, when you realize the futility of resistance, we will welcome you. Until then, enjoy your meal. The pie here is excellent." He walked out, and I never saw him again. But the tablet remained, showing feed after feed of people living their lives, unaware they were being watched. I saw a woman crying in her bathroom, a man practicing a speech to ask for a raise, children playing when they thought their parents were not looking. Hundreds of private moments streamed live to this device. I left the tablet there and fled, but the images stayed with me. All those people living under observation, documented without consent. How many buildings were compromised? How many cities? How many countries? That night, in yet another motel, I found a package waiting for me. Inside was a hard drive and a note, a gift from the archives. "Your year in review. Harold thought you would appreciate seeing yourself from our perspective." Against my better judgment, I plugged in the drive. It contained thousands of files, all meticulously organized. Photos, videos, audio recordings, even thermal imaging. Every moment of my life since leaving the Grandview, captured from angles I had never imagined. There I was, sleeping in my car, convinced I was alone. There I was, crying in a shower, thinking the water hid my breakdown. There I was, talking to myself, working through my paranoia out loud. But it was the metadata that truly disturbed me. Each file was tagged with behavioral notes, psychological assessments, pattern analysis. They were not just watching, they were studying. My fear responses, my coping mechanisms, my decision-making processes, all reduced to data points in some vast experiment. One video stood out. It showed me in a library, researching the between. But in the corner of the frame, barely visible, was another person doing the same research, then another, then another. The video was titled Cohort 7, Aware Subjects, Parallel Investigation Patterns. I was not unique. There were others like me, people who had discovered the watching and were trying to understand it. We were a category in their system, a subset of their research. Our resistance was itself data, our attempts to escape just another behavior to document. I destroyed the hard drive, but I could not destroy the knowledge. I knew now that the between was vast, organized, and patient. They had resources, infrastructure, and most terrifying of all, they had purpose. They truly believed they were doing something noble, preserving human truth for future generations. Last week, I received what might be my final communication from them, a thick envelope delivered to my motel room, though I had checked in under a false name and paid cash. Inside was a formal letter on expensive stationery. Dear Mr. Thompson, the Board of the Architectural Heritage Preservation Society has reviewed your case with great interest. Your dedication to evading observation has provided valuable data on the limits of surveillance avoidance in modern society. Your methods have been innovative, your persistence admirable. However, we must inform you that your current path is unsustainable. Financial analysis indicates you will exhaust your remaining resources within 3 months. Health monitoring shows increasing stress markers that will eventually require medical intervention. Social isolation indices suggest critical psychological deterioration within 6 months. We offer an alternative. The Society maintains several rehabilitation centers for individuals struggling with surveillance awareness syndrome. These facilities provide comfortable accommodations, therapeutic support, and gradual reintegration into observed life. Residents learn to accept monitoring as a natural part of existence, much like one accepts gravity or mortality. Harold Crane has specifically requested to serve as your integration counselor upon his release. He speaks fondly of your potential and believes you would thrive within our organization once properly adjusted. Please consider this option. Running serves no purpose. The infrastructure of observation is too vast, too entrenched. Every building you enter, every street you walk, every breath you take is within our domain. We are not your enemy. We are simply the witnesses to your existence. History will remember you either way. The question is whether you will be remembered as Subject 48726 who ran until collapse, or as Architect Thompson who helped build the most comprehensive record of human behavior ever assembled. The choice, as always, is yours, though we will document it either way. With sincere regards, the Board of Directors, Architectural Heritage Preservation Society. Preserving Human Truth since 1893. Attached to the letter were photographs. My parents, who I had not contacted in a year, going about their daily lives. My sister, still unaware of the cameras. Friends I had abandoned. Co-workers I had left behind. All of them watched, all of them documented, all of them leveraged. I burned the letter, but I kept one photo. It shows me reading the letter itself, captured from an angle that should have been impossible in my locked motel room. My face shows the exact moment I realized the truth. There is no escape because there is nowhere to run. The between is not hiding in old buildings. It has become the world itself. So I write this testimony, knowing they are watching me write it, knowing they will document every keystroke, analyze every word choice, study the patterns in my sentence structure. This too is data for their archive. My name is Marcus Thompson. I am Subject 48726. In an experiment I never consented to join. I have run for 14 months through 17 cities, and I have learned one inescapable truth. The watching never stops. The walls have eyes. The between is everywhere. And somewhere, Harold Crane counts the days until his release, when he can welcome his favorite subject home. They tell me I have a choice. Join them, or keep running until I collapse. But that is not really a choice at all, because whether I run or surrender, whether I resist or comply, they will be watching. They will always be watching. Check your walls. Question your privacy. Look for the shadows that should not be there, the cameras that should not exist. You might be Subject 1 million or Subject 10 million. You will never know. But once you start looking, once you begin to see the patterns, you can never unsee them. The watching becomes mutual. You become aware of your observer. And in that awareness, you become part of the between, whether you choose it or not. I have to end this now. The motel manager has been standing outside my door for too long. The couple in the next room has gone too quiet. The maintenance van across the street has not moved in hours. They are coming. They are always coming. And when they find me, when I finally stop running, Harold will be waiting. He will smile, that calm smile, and welcome me to my new life as an architect of the between. Or he will document my decline as Subject 48726, another data point in their endless study of human resistance. Either way, the watching never stops. Never.